dry with just a few wintry showers in the northwest, and lowest temperatures -2 to -5 degrees. Thursday will be very cold and windy, with outbreaks of rain turning to sleet or snow in most areas. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
The Football Show on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Boyle Sports. Now with same-day withdrawals to your Visa debit card.
I'm prepared to do anything I can to play my country again.
Do it then. What about your start to the game?
It wasn't bad, was it?
Why should an honest answer be a mistake?
How can a modern day manager not have a mobile phone?
Why should he?
You're welcome along to the Football Show. Johnny Ward standing in with Kevin Kilbane.
Standing in?
Well, pretty sparking. I think it's my second football show.
I think you're part of it. Part of the
Joe Malloy is the man.
Part of the family, as people would say now.
Big family.
Huge family.
I'm a Ward.
Yeah.
You know.
Good Irish Catholic family.
Absolutely. Good Irish Catholic family. Kevin Kilbane is obviously here. We've 4 games in the Premier League at the moment. Both of us are kind of struggling to actually concentrate here because the Liverpool-Leicester game is pretty engrossing, and the second half has just started, and they've removed a lot of snow off the pitch, but it's 1-1 at half-time. We're going to have Andy Mitten on, and Andy is 30 years editor of the Manchester United fanzine United We Stand, which I think is an incredible going, really. I obviously started off myself in print journalism. Before that, I used to write the Go United match programme, and we've actually a similar enough story, myself and Andy, but it's just the fact that... How did
you get into... were you writing a piece for the Go United programme?
Yeah, I started going to Go United games when I was about 15, and I remember... I don't know, was it the teachers in school, but I had a lot of English teachers, because one of my English teachers, he sadly his daughter passed away, and he took time off on a couple of occasions, and I ended up having 7 English teachers in secondary school. But one of them, Aileen Walsh from Mount Bellew, which is very close to where I'm actually from, she was really influential, and so were 1 or 2 others. And I just got into English, really loved it, and then I started writing for the match programme. And I was a terrible writer at the time, like maybe I still am, but it was just, you had to learn through the trade. And, it's kind of...
Great way in though, isn't it? It's a great way as well, yeah.
I remember the first time I had an article going out match programme, I couldn't sleep the night before, I was so excited. There's probably about 300 people at the game, and now if you had an article in the biggest paper in the country, or that, you know, you mightn't even buy it, you know, just you get more cynical as you get older. But have you gotten cynical as you get older, Kev?
Yeah. I think we probably all do to an extent, but you've still got to enjoy the finer things in life, Joe, even the lesser things in life, I suppose, haven't you?
You do.
Yeah.
A comment in, I should also remind you that this is available off the ball, and all our football tonight is available on our social channels, Twitter, Facebook and YouTube. We did get a text in, Kevin Limerick, goals are scored but keepers never let them in, and that's the hashtag Goalkeepers Union. I will ask Kevin why the FA Cup is being reffed differently. The yellow card count is very low. But before all of that, there has been a goal at Bournemouth-Chelsea, where Alan Lewis is standing by.
It's Bournemouth 2, Chelsea 0, and Bournemouth have doubled their advantage. A mistake from David Luiz, giving away possession in his own half. The ball fell to King, he dinked it over the top for David Brooks. He cut inside on his right foot, finished it with his left. It's Bournemouth 2, Chelsea 0.
This is another occasion of Kevin telling me that it was a great bet after the fact. I think this is 3 times now in the last few days. Millwall against Everton.
Well, I would say Stephen Doyle and I were talking today. Stephen Doyle and I were in the office, and we were chatting away about where do you fancy tonight and things like this. And we both said we fancied Bournemouth.
Good judge, Stephen, on the football bet.
And we both said that we didn't necessarily fancy Tottenham, so Watford draw no bet was a decent shout as well.
Did you back either of them?
I've done a little acca tonight, actually, yeah. I've done a little acca, and Bournemouth being one of those in the acca, and Watford being another one in that acca, yeah.
Another little chance for Leicester here at the edge of the box. There's
Vardy.
a chance.
Vardy, shoot!
Oh, unbelievable. Liverpool are shaky at the back here.
Yeah.
That actual text was, ask Kevin why in the FA Cup are things being refereed differently. The yellow card count is very low. There was a clear foul by a Millwall player in the first half of the weekend, noted in the commentary, and no booking. And apologies, Paul from Cork, I was a bit slow getting to that text.
Yeah, he was probably talking about me being in commentary. I don't recall the foul, actually, but yeah, I'd probably see that. I remember at the weekend in that Everton, or the Millwall-Everton game, there was a lot of challenges you're probably expecting to to be booked. I would have thought probably Premier League level, I think that was the case, yeah. And some of them maybe a little bit cynical, some of them perhaps maybe a little bit over the top as well. Maybe the conditions didn't help it at the weekend. There's a lot of players going to ground and it was wet, it wasn't a great day for it. And sometimes, you know yourself, when anyone can relate to it when you're playing at Sunday League level or whatever level that we're playing at, when the weather isn't great and you know there's a chance for you to go to ground at times, I think referees should have a little bit more, unless it's totally reckless where people are being, totally cleaned out and injured and there's a real chance a player could get injured badly. I think there has to be a bit of room for leniency with refereeing sometimes, yeah.
We watched the Barnet-Brentford game the other night, and I have to say, like, there have been some magical games this weekend in the FA Cup. It makes you sad that it's fallen from grace so much.
Yeah, it was. I heard Dave Mack was on last week. Dave was on with Nathan, and Dave was talking about the Carabao Cup overtaking it. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I understand it too. I think, well, you and I would be football fans, so you and I would have probably Sky television at home. Most football fans, if you're football fans and you're watching the Premier League, you'll have Sky or BT. Sky predominantly if you're watching the Carabao Cup. But a lot of the casual football fans won't have Sky television, so you're waiting for football to come on terrestrial TV, and you're only going to get your FA Cup on terrestrial TV now. So that's where it makes a big difference for it. Champions League, I suppose, as well. You're getting Champions League football on terrestrial TV. So that's what makes it, I think it does make it extra special that you're watching Champions League, you're watching the very best, and you're still watching FA Cup football. You're getting it on terrestrial television. So that's where I would think it would get into the people's psyche a little bit more than the Carabao Cup somehow.
I do remember, obviously, I didn't grow up in England, but I certainly grew up as a Liverpool fan, and I remember Liverpool had this horrendous run in the FA Cup under Graham Souness where they lost to a lot of minnows, actually, like 2 or 3 years in a row.
That was after winning it. They won it under Souness, didn't they, in 92, didn't they?
Speaking of Liverpool, it's actually insane what's going on in this game. I don't know how Leicester haven't scored. There was a goal line clearance by Alisson there. We're 7 minutes into the second half. But back in those days, Kev,
two good chances, Leicester.
Two good chances. The FA Cup was it was almost a be all and end all in itself. And when Cantona got the goal in the cup final, the infamous white suits Liverpool wore that day, I think it was as gutted as I've ever been after any match. And it is sad that the Champions League effectively has killed it to the extent that it has, and the money being finishing so far up in the league. But we'll get to the game last night, because you were in St James's Park. That must have been an interesting experience. Last
night at the game, it was great to be at the game last night as well. I don't think it was a great game, but it was great to be at. I think certainly when you're coming in here tonight is where you want to chat around it. And the biggest thing I took away from last night's game, yes, it was a great result for Newcastle, and I think sometimes we are slow to give credit to sides like Newcastle when they beat one of the top sides. But the thing I took away was how poor Man City were.
Why were they so poor?
Well, I look at the way that they set up. It was very much in keeping with how City set up, 4-3-3. Laporte, John Stones are two centre-halves. You had Danilo at left-back, Kyle Walker at right-back. Central midfield, holding midfielder Fernandinho. I would think it's as close to the strongest lineup that he could play right now, Guardiola, last night. He had David Silva and Kevin De Bruyne either side of Fernandinho. Up front, Aguero through the middle. Left and right side was Sané and Sterling. So, in my mind, I'm thinking, how can this team not score goals? How can they not create goals? That's what I was looking at immediately. And they got off to the perfect start. 25 seconds into the game last night, they score. Slightly fortuitous how it came about, really, but Aguero's record against Newcastle is phenomenal. I think that was 15 in 13 games, now 10 in his last 6 appearances. Amazing record he has against Newcastle. But after that, they just didn't play. They didn't move the ball quick enough. And something that Guardiola spoke about after the Huddersfield game, I mentioned this early on in the news round. He spoke about them in the relation to them being too lethargic, taking too many touches on the ball. You'd always feel, again, anyone that would have watched football over the years as well, the best sides, playing 1 and 2 touch, moving the ball quickly. You've got runners off the ball. I think it just looks so much better. It looks great on the eye. Maybe I understand sometimes it would have been a wide man growing up. I would have loved to see someone put the foot on the ball, try and beat a player, try and go on the outside. But City didn't have that. Raheem Sterling and Sané didn't have that into the game last night. So if that's not coming, are they moving the ball quick enough? And Kevin De Bruyne was a huge disappointment.
He looked a shadow of the player that he can be.
Yeah, body language was wrong. So was Silva. The worst performance, I would say, by Guardiola's side.
Silva's had a couple of fairly disappointing games of late.
I think City in general. Laporte was awful.
Why?
Danilo was dreadful. Kyle Walker looked really poor. Particularly the left side defensively looked really poor, Johnny.
But they should be, after the Liverpool game, I mean, they should just be on a roll now.
Yeah. But you think about the tempo that game was played at. Now, again, go back to my original point, give a little bit of credit to Newcastle. You mentioned it early in the news round. They conceded so early, and when you're in that position, you've got a game plan, you've set up a way to try and get a result, and you concede so early. Sometimes, invariably, it does happen where that game plan is gone then. You're trying to chase the game a little bit, and you become more and more exposed as the game goes on. But what Benitez has put into those players at Newcastle is stick to the game plan. Do not come away from it. We will get chances. Something will happen for us. Do not go and get beat 4, 5, 6. And that was how they got the result last night.
There were two just kind of nothing goals in that. One just kind of fell to Rondon, and then obviously, Fernandinho made a complete howler. It was just one of those instances where you're like, how could Newcastle get 2 goals there? And they did in about 10 minutes.
I mean, you asked in there before, Johnny, how has it happened? Huddersfield played the similar sort of way than what Newcastle did. What Huddersfield tried to do, they tried to condense Newcastle in one half of the pitch, or one side of a half, if you get what I'm saying. So the back forward is shuffled over, get your distances right, usually 5, 8 yards from each other, 10 yards perhaps maybe away from each other as a back four across the pitch, trying to shuffle right over. And what City were trying to do on the day, because Huddersfield's right back was tucked right in, they were trying to free up Leroy Sané on the left-hand side, so they're keeping him, just I think the message was, just stay as wide as possible. Then they were trying to get a Fernandinho or even right-sided centre-half that day, I think it was Otamendi, switch the play quickly, try and get Sané in a one-on-one position, free him up so he can get at them, and it worked at times against Huddersfield. That's what they were trying to do again. So it was Sterling that was playing in as a inside forward on the right-hand side for City. And Sané was staying wide, but Newcastle were playing with the back 5. They weren't playing against the back 4 predominantly that Huddersfield had. So DeAndre Yedlin almost had a man-to-man marking job. So it was just they become a back 5. The 2 wing-backs rarely ever got forward. So it was a man-to-man marking job. So the luxury they had then was the 3 centre-halves were just staying so narrow between the width of the goal. So they were never becoming exposed centrally through Sergio Aguero. And there was no space in behind because they were playing so deep. So the game plan that Benitez had, yes, it worked. It wasn't a great watch. It wasn't a great spectacle. It wasn't brilliant watching Newcastle. But what he did is stay in the game, the nice space, and they got the luck a little bit through the game as it progressed.
We've a very appropriate text coming in here from Dermot, a Millwall fan, which is about VAR, because Liverpool should have been given a penalty there. I think it might have been Keita taken down. Wasn't given. Still 1-1 at Anfield. Dermot asked, Everton fans and Kevin himself were whinging about no VAR at the Den at the weekend. Does he agree it robbed Sheffield Wednesday of a clear penalty against Chelsea?
Well, no, I don't know. Well, Sheffield Wednesday got a penalty and it was overturned, which was quite right. And then, was it Willian got fouled at the other end to win the penalty for Chelsea? So that overturn was brilliant. The one thing I've not necessarily understood is why certain televised games have had VAR and others haven't. We were watching the game the other night. Barnet, the non-league side, they go in front in the match, and Brentford's wide man goes on a run, clear dive. I mean, it was so bad, the dive. It was ridiculous. Yeah. And that's what's costing a non-league side like Barnet. We know an extra 50 grand, an extra 100 grand to them, meaningless to a Premier League side, but to a non-league side, it's huge money for them, huge revenue. And the referee, because there was no VAR at that game, it was a televised game.
You're not going to blame the ref so much because at real time it's hard to call?
I wouldn't. But why isn't VAR at the game, certainly for the handball, for in the Everton game as well, why isn't VAR in the big televised games? That's something that I couldn't tell you. And genuinely, I've asked the question of others, because there was a Chelsea game, I think, in the 3rd round that didn't have VAR in. So the technology's there, clearly it's there. They've used it at that stadium in the past. I think every televised game, if they're showing it as the rule in the FA Cup, should have VAR, because it's unfair. It's a disadvantage across the competition.
we have an update from the Spurs-Watford game. This was another game that Kev predicted after a few goals went in. Guy Swindles.
Spurs 0, Watford 1. It's been all Spurs since the beginning of the second half. Lucas Moura was on for Aurier. He's had a half chance, brilliant ball from the back by Alderweireld. First touch was good, second less so from Moura. But the chance of the match has fallen to Llorente. And first, from the Sissoko cross, he forced a fine save from Foster, but with Foster prone on the ground and the goal open, he somehow managed to knee the ball over from 3 yards. Spurs 0, Watford 1.
There's been another goal in Bournemouth-Chelsea. Alan Lewis.
It's Bournemouth 3, Chelsea 0, and that should just about do it. Joshua King with his second of the game, another really well-worked goal. Nathaniel Klein with a beautiful ball down the right-hand side, finding Junior Stanislas. He crossed into the middle where Joshua King had all the time in the world to finish past Kepa. It's Bournemouth 3, Chelsea 0.
I would say as well, just off the back of that, because you are obviously taking the piss out of me here, I did say Bournemouth, I did say Watford, but I did actually say Southampton would beat Crystal Palace, so you do get the occasional one wrong, John. You know, you've got to hold your hands up sometimes.
How did Arsenal get on last night? I'm just trying to recall.
1-2-1. Aubameyang scored late against Cardiff, didn't he?
Yeah, because all the other teams at the top are either losing, are not going to win, or actually didn't win in that. Man United obviously drew at home. Chelsea are almost certainly going to lose. Spurs are losing.
Yeah.
Manchester City lost at Newcastle. Liverpool are at the moment failing to beat Leicester City. Could be
top four all potentially there with no wins. It's incredible, really, isn't it? You wouldn't have predicted that. It's these midweek games after the FA Cup, Johnny. I know there's been a lot of changes inside. Sides are trying to rest players. Liverpool didn't have the FA Cup at the weekend, of course, being out. But I don't know, these midweek games. Changing weather, I don't know what it is. You can throw anything into the hat for this one, but
we'll get an update from Liverpool-Leicester. Shane Pennington.
It's Liverpool 1, Leicester 1, and the natives again restless here at Anfield because Leicester have started this second half pretty well and Liverpool are pretty poor in possession so far. Leicester have had the good chance of the half so far. A free kick into Harry Maguire, who evaded the offside trap. He headed it back across goal, and Firmino, and trying to intercept it, ended up diverting the effort towards his own goal, and Alisson had to make a sharp save from 6 yards out. Otherwise, Liverpool, like I say, struggling to get going in this second half. It's Liverpool 1, Leicester 1.
I think the main thing from this game, Stan, when we were speaking before the game, and we were thinking or who's going to play at right back for Liverpool. It's Jordan Henderson that actually played right back. We were thinking it could have been Jorginho Wijnaldum. The one thing, whoever it was going to be playing at right back for Liverpool, I just immediately said, get Demarai Gray on that left wing. Now, the game starts, and Demarai Gray is playing as a number 10. And we got about 25 minutes, half an hour into the game, Liverpool totally dominating, overrunning Leicester all over the pitch. Claude Puel, in his brilliance, or in his bloody, I don't know what he's thought in the end, but he's thought, right, I'll tell you what, I'll put Demarai Gray out on that left wing. Since Demarai Gray's gone on the left wing, there's an out ball now for Leicester. They look so much better going forward. They're able to get out. The left-hand side is where they've caused problems for Liverpool. That just looked the clear decision to be made.
Jordan Henderson is not a right back, neither was Milner.
No, exactly.
I have to give it to you, did say that before the game.
Thanks Johnny. Thanks, Johnny.
There's been another goal, actually, Southampton Palace, and we've Ian Wilding there.
It's now Southampton 1, Crystal Palace 1. The home side equalising on 76 minutes. Great one-touch football from the left-hand side. Eventually Target found Ward-Prowse on a plate for him outside the 6-yard box, who did the rest. It came after Zaha's opening goal for Crystal Palace on 40 minutes. And up to that Southampton goal, it was Crystal Palace who were well in control. Just a couple of minutes earlier, they had a header cleared off the line from Sacco. But Southampton, against the run of play with their third attempt on target, have scored. Southampton 1, Crystal Palace 1.
We want to point you in the direction of the Legends rugby event that's on this Friday. It's Ireland v England, with proceeds in support of a very, very worthy cause, in support of Doddy Weir, the former Scotland great who's battling motor neuron disease. Gordon Darcy, Shane Byrne, Mick Galway, Malcolm O'Kelly, Josh Lucy, Jason Leonard, Mike Tyndall will all be playing. Kick-off is 7 p.m. at the RDS, and get your tickets now at ticketmaster.ie/Irish Legends. We're going to go to the break, but after this we have Andy Mitten coming on, talking Manchester United.
Football on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Boyle Sports. Now with same-day withdrawals to your Visa debit card.
News Talk Breakfast.
We've been getting a huge reaction throughout the programme on things people would like to see banned. Do you have any strong views?
Cooking eggs in the workplace.
What's wrong with that?
You know when you come in the morning and you go down and you start cooking eggs in the microwave in the workplace and there's only one office microwave? It's awful.
Shane does it.
I don't like eggs and then everybody else's breakfast stinks of eggs.
Andrea doesn't like eggs, so we all have to go without.
I think anyone cooking eggs or fish in the workplace should have to use one specific microwave.
News Talk Breakfast with Shane Coleman and Kieran Cuddihy.
In association with Air.
Back tomorrow from 7 on News Talk.
January. It may feel dull and dreary. It may feel like ages till payday. But at least the January sale is on at appliancesdelivered.ie. And if it's bargains you're after, it's bargains you'll get. With up to 15% off TVs, 25% off washing machines, 25% off refrigeration, and up to 30% off dishwashers. Make January great again, at least for a few hours. And check out our health and wellness range. The January sale, now on at appliancesdelivered.ie.
The Volvo XC40 Petrol, built for the city, designed around you. Winner of the European Car of the Year and Irish Car of the Year. Starting from €36,850. With 9-inch touchscreen and city safety as standard. And for a limited time only, enjoy a digital luxury pack worth €3,230 for only €699 on the Momentum trim. Contact your local Volvo retailer or visit volvocars.ie to arrange a test drive. Terms and conditions apply. Excludes delivery and related charges.
Bon Secours Hospital Dublin. If you're in need of urgent medical care for conditions such as chest pain, respiratory, bowel or stomach problems, ask your GP to refer you to the Bon Secours Medical Assessment Unit for same-day consultant opinion. You will be assessed and either admitted for further investigation and treatment or discharged with a treatment plan. The Bon Secours Hospital Dublin is covered under most insurance plans. To find out more, visit bonsecours.ie/Dublin. Bon Secours. Advanced medicine, exceptional care.
Okay, so you're off to Dublin, maybe for an Aviva Stadium event, a concert or a show at the 3 Arena, RDS or Bord Gosh. You'll be needing a great place to stay, a place that's close to the entertainment and just minutes from Dublin city centre. A place with beautiful modern rooms, great bar and restaurant. A place you can book online and get the guaranteed best rates and offers direct. Well, thank goodness there's the Sandymount Hotel. Visit sandymounthotel.ie for details and bookings.
Anyone can make the difference. When we step up, we can change the moment, change the atmosphere, change the energy, change the score, change the season. Together, we can change history. The Allianz Leagues. Your tickets are waiting now at gaa.ie, selected Super Value and Centre stores and usual outlets. Buy before match day and get 25% off adult tickets for Division 1 and 2 football and Division 1 hurling. The Allianz Leagues. Be there all the way.
Class, listen up. Mental maths. If the school won €50,000, how could we spend it? Sean?
A new playground, rugby balls, or a rugby pitch on the moon.
Why there?
Plenty of space.
Spend €30 in Aldi and collect Irish rugby stickers for your primary school's chance to win €50,000 for playing facilities. Aldi, official supermarket of the IRFU. Full details at aldi.ie/play rugby. Promotion open from the 28th of January to the 7th of April 2019.
Hi, I'm Sue and I'm a Foot Solutions customer. Following years of niggly injuries in my legs, hips and back, I tried Brooks runners from Foot Solutions and have never looked back. I like to run, so I needed quality runners. Instead of buying online and wasting time with poor fitting and returns, I got an expert fitting consultation in Foot Solutions for my Brooks runners and customised arch supports.
If you walk, jog or run, step into the perfect fit at Foot Solutions or visit footsolutions.ie.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
And you're welcome back. We're now joined by Andy Mitten. And Andy, I just want to start and ask you, I was just looking up your Twitter page earlier. Does it feel like 30 years since you started as editor of United We Stand, the fanzine, or has it just flown by?
It's a long time ago, isn't it? Yeah. It was 30 years in October this year. I mean, I was a 15-year-old kid and I look at those first issues and it was absolutely terrible. I don't know why anyone paid money for it. But it picked up pretty quickly, you know. By the time I was 17, 18, it was selling well, and that's when I decided that I'd like to be a journalist. And I went to do a very good journalism degree in a town Kevin knows well. In fact, it's a city, Preston.
It's a town, Andy. Still a town, I tell you. It is a town.
Town values.
Oh no, it does have city status, but it's actually a town in my mind. Yeah, it is.
Funny enough, Andy, my own story is very similar because I started writing for the Galway United match programme at 15, and that's how I decided I wanted to get into journalism. But like, obviously, match programmes are kind of like all print are maybe facing an uncertain future. What about fanzines?
We're going well. I've just had an email before from Rob, who's done the subscriptions for 27 years. And he said we've just hit our highest ever level of printed subscriptions. It's good at the ground. It's tough on the newsstand because we sell United We Stand, even in Ireland, we sell it through Eason's there. But if you'd have said to me 29 years ago, United We Stand would still be going and would be profitable, because the opposite of profitable is losing money. And I always maintain that I make my proper money from my proper journalism, from my columns and my books for people. But United We Stand can't be run at a loss. And what happened just before Christmas was we printed a copy, and the next day Manchester United changed managers. And I thought we've got to have something with Solskjaer on the cover. So I was just very honest with readers, and I said, look, it'll cost us £400 to reprint the front cover, because we hadn't printed the inside, just the cover, the colour section. And I said, it's up to you. We've designed this cover. Do you want it, yes or no? And we just had a surge of people subscribing. And what I said to them was, we don't need likes on Facebook or Twitter, because unfortunately I can't turn around to the printers and say, I can't pay this month, but it's really popular on social media. And we have a problem with that on Twitter. I remember once Juan Mata retweeting our front cover to 4 million followers. We didn't pick up one new subscriber. So that shows a different demographic of people who go on social media, whereas our readers tend to be hardcore match-going Manchester United fans. We've got a lot.
Yeah, I want to say, what has there anything changed in terms of your relationship with the club and players and manager even as well through that time? Because a lot's changed at United over that 30 years or so, hasn't it? So what has changed around maybe your writing and maybe the readership, I suppose, of the magazine as well, or the fanzine?
Well, I'd like to think I've learned to write properly, because when I look at the early issues, it's dreadful. And we've got really good writers. I think it's become more professional. We're in a position where we can pay our writers. I don't think anyone does it for the money at all. And we have writers who refuse to take money off us. You know, Jim White, who writes for the Daily Telegraph, has refused money off us for 26 years now. And I've said to his wife, you know, I promise if you ever fall on hard times, I will guarantee that things will be all right for Jim. I'm not sure I'll be able to maintain that. In terms of the relationship with the club, I think it depends who you ask. I mean, I was writing pieces before Christmas which were very critical of what was going on at Manchester United, and my loyalty is to tell my readers the truth. It's not to be a PR agent for Manchester United, but I'd like to think we're sensible, we're well balanced. We've got a good relationship with a lot of the people at the club. Jose Mourinho gave his first interview to us. So did Ed Woodward. Richard Arnold, the MD, gave us an interview last year. He doesn't do any media at all. And I think they trust us. I'm sure that they read issues, and they do, and they listen to our podcast. I'm sure they won't agree with a lot of the things in there. But we've got I think we've got a constructive relationship. Last week, for example, I know Manchester United were trying really hard to secure a bigger allocation of tickets for the FA Cup game at Arsenal. And privately, they were disgusted that Arsenal had given them half the number of tickets they should have done. And I think the fans and the club can work together on something like that. But when you're being critical of people, I mean, if Romelu Lukaku would have read the last issue, I don't think he would have ever wanted to speak to us again. But we wouldn't make it personal. If someone's not playing well, then we'll say that. But as Giggs once said after he read a copy to me, if you're playing badly, then you deserve stick. In the same way, if I put a rubbish issue out, people are going to tell me straight away. They're going to say, I paid good money for that, and that was rubbish. So you've got to keep your standards high, whether you're a journalist or whether you're a footballer. I'm just delighted that 29 years later, people buy it with their hard-earned money.
Absolutely.
Because there's so much free stuff out there now. So what I try and do is put stuff in there that you would not find anywhere else. Not online, just stuff where you'd think, I didn't know that.
It's all these bloody millennials who just think everything is free. You know, it wasn't like that in our day.
No, you're right. And telling people that, look, this is where the money goes. The lads who sell it outside the ground, they tend to be young Mancunian lads. They use the money to follow Manchester United. You need money to exist. We've got print bills to pay. It's not free to print a magazine.
And I suppose getting back to the main reason you're on, when it all unravels with the babyface assassin, is he going to be nice seeing the fanzine Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Because the bubble has obviously burst. They didn't win last night.
You're very harsh, Johnny, on that one.
No, I'm being facetious, but it's interesting because everyone's been so positive. I think it's just even 8 games is nowhere near long enough to assess how Solskjaer will get on. But how have you kind of what's your conclusion after 9 games? And he was quite critical of the team last night. He said their intensity just wasn't there in the first half.
I think if I was giving him a report so far, I'd give him 4 marks. He's been excellent. He's lifted the mood. The fans are much happier. The staff at the club are much happier, and they weren't happy. The players are much happier. I've spoken to several of them, and the mood at the start of December was dreadful. Several players were deeply unhappy, to the point that they were quite happy for transfer rumours linking them with clubs like Real Madrid to go out there, however fanciful they may have seemed, because Real Madrid had no interest in some of the people that were being linked to.
So you're actually, players are trying to kind of slightly spin stories at times when it suits them.
I don't think it's players. I think it might be people close to players.
Yeah.
And they were not happy. Paul Pogba was not happy. Marcus Rashford was not happy. And those 2 players have been exceptional under Ole Gunnar. And they had to be, because their own reputations were on thin ice with Man United fans. Paul Pogba was not a popular person at Old Trafford among the fans at the start of December. There wouldn't have been that many people too bothered if he would have gone. But now he's been much better. He's playing to his potential. Ole Gunnar, and I've spoke to players about this, he's basically said to them, let opponents worry about us rather than the other way around. The players like the fact that the full-backs are pushed right up. They feel that it opens the pitch up. They felt that Jose Mourinho was too preoccupied with the opponents and too nervous about protecting his defence to let Manchester United go at opponents. And when Ole Gunnar took charge, Manchester United had a negative goal difference. That's ridiculous after 17 matches. And when he struggled in the summer transfer window, I put a tweet out saying, okay, it's not gone well, but look at all these players at this club. And I listed every single one of them. And I thought there's a lot of really, really good players there. The problem was they weren't playing to their reputation, or certainly not to their wage packet, because Manchester United had the 2nd highest wage bill in world football and still do today. So Ole Gunnar's they're playing well and everything's wonderful.
But when does the time actually come then, Andy, when they say, look, you are the man for the job then? Because I was on at the weekend with Johnny, actually. We were on the show at the weekend with Johnny and was it Nathan was on the weekend with us? It was Owen, wasn't it, actually? Yeah. So, and they were asking the question, do you think you'll have the job? And I said, well, clearly the board are uncertain at the moment. Clearly they are doing the work, they're doing everything behind the scenes to try to get him in place. So when does it? Is it the players that are going to take the initiative and try and drive that forward? Is it Solskjaer himself? Is it maybe outside influence that they're trying to push him? Do you think he's actually the right man for the job, and when will that time come that they're actually going to make that appointment?
Players tend to push for the incumbent. Players pushed for Ryan Giggs to get it before Louis van Gaal. Ed Woodward will certainly speak to the players. I don't think there would be any objections if Ole Gunnar was appointed full-time now, from the players, from the fans, from the staff at the club. But I don't think they need to appoint him full-time now. He knows he's here until the end of the season. I think if you get to the end of March and Manchester United are looking good for 4th, or if they've knocked PSG out, or if they're still in the FA Cup, then you're saying this is a guy who's achieved results beyond the honeymoon period. Because at the start, he had a relatively easy run, but he beat Arsenal last week, he beat Tottenham away. They're fantastic results, but you're still in this honeymoon period. It would only take 3 or 4 bad results for all the doubts to resurface. So if he was to finish 4th, that would be a major achievement, and I think he would deserve the job. And not just him, I think Mike Phelan should be kept on as coach, because he's a good guy, Mike. He's well respected, he's a good coach, and he's taking training every day. Ole Gunnar is sitting back up in the office, like Alex Ferguson did, and Ferguson's more on the scene now. Ole Gunnar's speaking to him. David Moyes didn't. Jose Mourinho didn't. Louis van Gaal didn't. They weren't being disrespectful. They just felt that they wanted to get on with their own job without this big shadow behind them.
Is there not just a small fear, though, that the club and the fans, a bit like Kenny Dalglish and his return to Liverpool, that you get slightly wrapped up in nostalgia of, you know, the warmth and happiness that is, invoked by just remembering when Solskjaer was a player, because his managerial credentials still at this stage are very, very questionable in that he's quite unproven, and surely Manchester United should be looking at getting like someone like Rafa Benitez, or at least somebody who's really, really proven at the top level.
Oh, it's a great shout.
I think if you appointed Rafa Benitez tomorrow as Manchester United manager, you would see protests outside Old Trafford.
Yeah, he's a bad example, but you know what I mean? Like a proven manager at the top level.
And I do actually respect Benitez for what he did at Valencia, and taking Liverpool to win the European Cup was an incredible achievement. And even at Newcastle, on his resources, he's doing well. I think you've got to give Solskjaer a bit more time. He's doing very, very well. It would be ridiculous if he continues to do well to change something that's working.
But if it works in the course of like half a season, that's not necessarily working. It's still, there has to be a reaction from Mourinho. So say if they finish 4th or 5th, with that quality of players, they really should be doing pretty much as close to as well as they are at the moment anyway. They've such good players. So he's just bringing the smile back on their face, and maybe he's not doing much more than that.
I think half a season is a fair time to judge him. I think if he's got him into 4th and you're judging him over 30 matches, I think that's a fair trial period. I don't think it's fair in a year, just to keep him going on beyond that. If people were saying after 3 games, give him the job, I think that's ridiculous. Even now, I would say, just let him carry on playing. You've got some really, really tough matches. If they're going to lose all these tough games, then doubts will resurface. At the moment, you're in this honeymoon period, added to the fact that Pochettino, the man who is fancied to take over, is having a rough time himself. But just wait 2 months. Just see where United are.
It's mad actually how the Spurs kind of, I don't know, the problems they're having has almost directly coincided with Manchester United's revival. Entirely coincidental, but it's just strange that it's happened like that. But I mean, I suppose going forward, what's this season going to bring? And it's interesting as well that there are stories of he has a fairly ruthless nature to him as well. He's apparently after, I think it was the Reading game at half-time, he wasn't happy at all at half-time. The players got maybe their first sight of a guy that wasn't a million miles removed from Alex Ferguson and the hairdryer if he actually wanted to be.
That's what the fans want to hear, and I think that's what the players want as well. Ole Gunnar is no fool. In the same way that Juan Mata might be the world's nicest man, but he's not got to the level in professional football where that he has by being a soft touch. You've got to have a nasty side to you, and Ole Gunnar's had that. He's using the tools at his disposal to the best of his ability. Why not use someone like Sir Alex Ferguson? Why not go and speak to him after games? And that is what he's doing. But it would be a far cheaper option, so that would be attractive to Manchester United. And Pochettino, who would have been everyone's favourite, I think, in December, he's fallen out of favour a little bit. But while fans are extremely loyal, they're also extremely fickle. And I can remember when Rooney was linked with a move away, 2013, there was not a one United fan I could find who wanted him to stay. 2.5 weeks later, they were singing his name at Swansea away. So
recency bias.
Events can change really, really quickly. But Ole Gunnar is doing exceptionally well, and if he carries on doing like this, and he's not going to win every game, he's going to lose some of these matches against these big teams.
In relation then to the fickle nature of supporters, then you spoke about Pogba and Rashford, and there might have been a divided opinion on whether they're going to be serious United players going forward. What are the form has picked up, but is there still an understanding that, look, this might be a bit of a flash in the pan thing?
The demographics of Man United support and Liverpool's are really interesting, because at the matches you'll find the fans are more supportive, even when Mourinho was really struggling. Whereas online, I can remember when United were champions a few years ago, they had the audacity not to win an away game at Swansea. And there was like this surge of complaints. It was just ridiculous, because you've got glory hunters, effectively. People who are only been attracted to glory, thinking that Manchester United should win every single game that they play. I think the club have got to take a longer view, a more sensible view, because if they listen to some of the online fans, they'd have no players left. They would have all have been sold. Marcus Rashford at times this season would have been sold because people have said he's only getting a look in because he's a Mancunian, because he's a United fan. He's actually a very good player who is now confident and playing in his preferred position. Every player, as you know, Kevin, has bad times. Lukaku's had a bad time. Sanchez has had a pretty wretched 12 months. Do I think he's finished as a player? No, I don't. I think these people should be given the benefit of the doubt. Even Fred, £52 million. He's done nothing so far. I don't think we should sell him. Lindelof, a year ago, some United fans were saying this guy's a disgrace. He should never have been bought. He should never be near this famous red shirt. They're not saying it now. I've got emails in my inbox from 6 weeks ago saying we should get protests. I'd be quite funny if I replied to some of them and say, OK, Leicester on Sunday, let's get the protest going against the club. You won't find any support for it.
Just briefly, if you were to call it now, will he be the manager at the start of next season?
Yes.
Kev?
I'm still, honestly, I'm still undecided. I'm still 50-50. I am, honestly. Because I think if a big name were to come up, I still think at the moment, I think he'd jump ahead of him.
A big name could be taken over at Oldham. Paul Scholes has been linked with his hometown club. I'm fascinated by that development because it's just a career that you think this could go either way from.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Andy about that. I'm interested to see how this goes. There's huge rumours he has in fact got the job, but is there some sort of conflict of interest in relation to Salford City, I think. Is that right, Andy, at the moment?
Yeah, Salford City, the Amis. And if there could be a conflict of interest, which would need to be sorted out, and Paul knows that, and Oldham know that as well. Paul told me that he wanted to go into management.
How long ago was that?
He's told me that pretty consistently over the last year. He lives in Oldham. He's going to stay living in Oldham. He likes going to watch Salford City. He goes to Manchester United sometimes. The problem with Oldham is it's a bit of a basket case of a club. It's not a stable club.
Yeah, big time, because we had Irish players went over there. Obviously, Jack Byrne has come back. Patrick McElhinney went last season, and it was a case where Oldham were actually looking for money from an Irish club for McElhinney. They were so desperate for cash, and it was like reversal of roles, because it was normally the Irish clubs that were the basket cases, but Oldham seemed a complete mess.
Yeah, well, those reports are accurate, and that's why Oldham went down for, I think, the first time in 17 years last year. And it's tight. You had the owner who stepped down just over a year ago. You got a new owner come in. He's brought lots of predominantly French players in there. You've got a pretty strong hardcore of about 4,000 people, way down from the Premier League days when they were getting 14,000. But Scholes fancies being a management. If you were saying to him, as Alex Ferguson always did, including Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, go to a club which is stable with a good chairman, Oldham would be the last club you recommend, but it's his childhood club.
It's also a club that has an upside because they've gone so far down. Can things get much worse? Well,
they could, because Stockport County, who are a similar size club, went down 2 more divisions, and there are big clubs in the conference. Tranmere Rovers get higher average crowds than Oldham Athletic, so do Wrexham. So it really can happen. And if you've got a chairman who's interfering and telling you which players to pick, that's not great for any manager.
Scholes wouldn't like that.
He wouldn't. What I think he needs is guarantees. I pick the team. What's my wage bill going to be? And then if I was speaking to Paul and say, what do you know about 4th Division football? Who do you know? Because there are lads in that league who are managing. They know who the left back is at Macclesfield Town and the reserve left back. Their base of knowledge is very high, and I think Paul would need a good assistant, someone who knows the club and knows the league very well. I know lads who've managed at Oldham really, really well. Friends of mine, people like Dean Holdham, and they had a good run at the start. And last year, Rick Wellings, he was doing very well there, and I know Rick well, and he was doing really well. He had them moving up the division, and then these people don't last long now.
He can always ring Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for advice now to be a top manager anyway.
Yeah. I'd love him to do well, because I think Paul, he's got a lot of talent, and I think he would make a good manager, but there are so many strands to being a good manager. And I said, well, what about dealing with the media? He said, yeah, fine, don't bother me. Don't bother me with what people are saying.
Well,
no manager should be bothered by what people are saying. The problem is decisions are made by what people are saying.
It's because a bit more nuance than that.
Want a manager out, the manager tends to be sacked.
Andy, thanks for joining us.
Cheers.
Thanks, Andy.
Off the Ball on News Talk.
Want to springboard into a computing career? CCT College Dublin is now enrolling for its Level 8 Higher Diploma in Science and Computing, starting in February. This is a part-time course, and because it's a springboard-funded ICT conversion course, it's free or partly funded for eligible participants. Places are limited, so apply now through springboardcourses.ie or visit our website, cct.ie.
See the all-new Ford Focus, winner of the Irish Small Compact Car of the Year 2019 at the Ford Innovate 191 sales event. The Focus ST line features Ford Sync with touchscreen, smartphone mirroring, ST line design kit and cruise control. And right now you can order a 191 Ford Focus with an amazing 7-year warranty, 7-year roadside assistance and 2 years free servicing. All from just €23,525. See the all-new Ford Focus at your local participating Ford dealer. Offer ends January 31st. Ford Innovate, driving better value for you. Ford, go further. Price excludes delivery and related charges. Terms and conditions apply. See Ford.ie for details.
Kira's a big fan of the radiator in biology class, especially when she's frozen half to death after cycling to school. Because at Energia we power thousands of classrooms, we're the power behind Kira's regular defrosting. And because we also power all of Ireland's streetlights, we're the power behind keeping her safe when she cycles back home. And don't worry, Kira. We power the radiators there too. Energia, the power behind your power.
A train approaches the platform. For some, it's just the 6:45 to Houston. But for you, it's an office on wheels. Here, the canteen comes to you. The person sitting opposite you isn't just a passenger, they're a colleague. And regardless of what your business card says, from the moment you step on board, you're the boss. Rediscover the joy of the train. Great fares for business customers at irishrail.ie.
Are you interested in working in America? Are you in your final year? Or did you recently graduate from college? Grow your international experience with the Use It 1-Year Graduate Work USA program. Now in the final year of the pilot program, 2019 could be your last chance to do the Use It Grad Visa. Book on useit.ie.
So as they go over the chair at Aintree, it's Ruby Walsh in front. And now he's a length clear as they head into the dip with only 2 fences to run at Galway.
From Cork to York, Leopardstown to Sandown, watch Racing TV for complete coverage of 61 British and Irish racecourses. Live and now in dramatic HD. See for yourself with a free 1-month trial at racingtv.com.
Oh, what a way to finish!
Racing TV, welcome to the new home of British and Irish racing. Terms and conditions apply. See racingtv.com for details.
With Virgin Media, you can build up the entertainment and tear down the price. First up, movies. Sport. Gaming.
You win.
And to top it off, switch today and get superfast broadband and TV for just €49 a month for an awesome 12 months. The sale that stacks up. Now on. See virginmedia.ie.
T's and C's apply. See virginmedia.ie. 12-month contract. Offer ends 27th of February 2019.
Off the Ball. This is News Talk.
And you're welcome back. We're going to get a few full times, couple of full times. Southampton versus Palace. Ian Wilding.
Full time, Southampton 1, 10-man Crystal Palace 1. Both sides share the spoils. Both move on to 23 points. Both now 4 points away from the Premier League drop zone. Palace took the lead through Zaha on 40 minutes, who drilled it under McCarthy in the Southampton goal. And they were well in control up until the Southampton equaliser and had the ball in the net through Sacco, but it was ruled out for a foul in the box. But on 77 minutes, great one-touch football from Southampton found Ward-Prowse on the edge of the 6-yard box, who did the rest. And then it became frantic. Towards the end of the game, Zaha was sent off for Palace. He received a yellow card after squaring up to Ward-Prowse following a challenge, and then a second yellow 20 seconds later for sarcastically applauding the referee. Armstrong could have nicked it at the end for Southampton, but in the end it's all square. Full time, Southampton 1, Crystal Palace 1.
Bournemouth versus Chelsea, Alan Lewis.
Bournemouth 4, Chelsea 0. Bournemouth with their first home win over Chelsea since 1988, and they've done it emphatically. Chelsea with a better side in the first half, if you can believe it, but Joshua King put Bournemouth in front just 2 minutes after the break. David Brooks doubled the advantage, capitalising on a mistake from David Luiz. King then put the result beyond any doubt, slotting home his second of the game after some good play from Klein and Stanislas down the right. Charlie Daniels put the icing on the cake in injury time. It's back-to-back league wins for Bournemouth, a night to forget for Chelsea. Bournemouth 4, Chelsea 0.
Looked pretty bleak for Spurs, but they turned it around against Watford. Guy Swindles.
Spurs 2, Watford 1. Great fight back by Spurs. Watford took the lead in the first half through Cathcart, and they looked pretty comfortable in holding it. Spurs missed a couple of sitters, well, Llorente did anyway. Another opportunity was cleared off the line, and it looked as if they were running out of time. But suddenly the ball fell to Son on the edge of the box. He slammed it home to equalise with 10 minutes to go. And with 2 minutes left, Llorente, well, he answered his critics with a thumping header going across the keeper. Foster, who had played so well, could do nothing. Spurs 2, Watford 1.
It is full time at Anfield. It's finished 1-1. It was a manic game, Kev.
Yeah, it was. Very good game, actually. Total contrast to last night's game at St James's Park. But Leicester caused problems in the second half, real problems, had chances. The substitutions at club well made baffled me, taking Damari Gray off and taking Maddison off. They were two key players, particularly Damari Gray. He was causing problems for Liverpool, but good game nonetheless. I think Liverpool played really well first half, that's what I would say. So Klopp's got to look at it as a point gain towards the title, hasn't
it? Yeah, it could have gone either way, and I think at least they're 5 points clear, but the title race is definitely not over. I must mention that this Friday we're going to be in Clonmel previewing Cheltenham with a special Bulmer's Road to Gold event in the Clonmel Park Hotel. Earlier on we asked you, where is Jessica Harrington's yard? What village would you find it in? And the answer is Moon, County Kildare. Congratulations to Vincent Brady in Virginia, County Cavan. I wouldn't be surprised there are actually a few Vincent Bradys in Virginia, County Cavan. So many Bradys in Cavan. But I'm sure Vincent, who actually did text in, knows that it is him, and he's won a pair of tickets to the event. See you down there, Vincent. And it is the Bulmer's Road to Gold event, the Clonmel Park Hotel on February the 1st. That's this Friday. Tomorrow morning, Off the Ball AM is back at 7:45 on all our social channels. Tomorrow night we're back at 7 p.m. Nathan will be presenting. There'll be John Giles on this week's twists and turns in the title race in the Premier League. Colin Fenley in studio. A Super Bowl preview ahead of the Rams versus the Patriots this Sunday night in Atlanta. And thanks for coming in, Kev.
Good man, it's an absolute pleasure, Johnny. It's been a good night.
It has been a good night. Tom Dunn is up next, and we'll chat to you tomorrow. Best of luck.